Hi guys, thank you for being with me again. I wanted to do a video real quick on the Goetia just because I posted something about it on the Instagram stories a few days ago, just the cover of the book and a couple of illustrations, and it got quite a lot of questions and feedback and interest and people wondering about it, and I had somebody contact me asking me like their teacher tells them that they've never heard anything but negative about it, and do I have a different perspective and all this sort of thing. I absolutely do, but you have to keep in mind that this is a very advanced system of magic that goes all the way back to King Solomon. In the Bible it said that King Solomon was the wisest man in the history of the world. Not only the wisest man, but also the greatest magician in the history of the world. He took the 72 jinn, D-J-I-N-N, and forced them to build the Temple of God in Jerusalem. These jinn are ancient Sumerian entities that later religions like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, they would split them into two categories and make angels and demons out of them. But originally there was no such distinction. They just were. What they are, well, first, your clue to what they are is it comes in the name jinn. Jinn is the same word it's the root word that we get our words genius and genie from. So a genius is somebody who knows something that we don't know. A genie is an entity capable of fulfilling your desires. People will say, this is an advanced system of magic where even if you start to practice magic, if you have a teacher, if you're in a lodge or an order or whatever it is, they will tell you, don't mess with this for, wait until you're way down the road. And I agree with that 100%. People will ask me all the time, is this dangerous? Because it has that reputation. It's been said since the beginning of time that this can be a dangerous system of magic. And there are a lot of teachers, even in modern day, that tell their students never look at it, never mess with it. Nothing but negativity can come of it. But these are usually people who haven't actually used it themselves. And they probably shouldn't. Because if you feel that level of fear and hesitation and everything else, then it's not for you yet. You haven't integrated certain lessons and things that you're going to have to understand before you go into this. In the story of Solomon, he binds these things into a brass vessel. That brass vessel is us. What these technically are, keep in mind that during these days, like back when this stuff was originated, thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, there was no such thing as psychology. There was no such thing as Freud and Jung. There were no concepts like the unconscious, the subconscious, the ego, the superego, the id. That stuff would have made no sense to them whatsoever. They had to phrase certain procedures, concepts, and experiences in terminology that they could understand at the time and was in popular use. So what angels are our higher states of consciousness. They are like what we function, the consciousness that we function with in normal daily activity. Angels are a level of consciousness far above that. What the goetic spirits they are a level of our conscious way below our normal functioning consciousness. So you've got, whatever you want to call them, the unconscious, the subconscious, the deepest parts of our psyche. That's what these things are. And that's why they say that they're dangerous if you're not prepared to start working with them. You are supposed to have completely and absolutely mastered angel magic to the point that angels are you. You experience them as part of your psyche, part of your consciousness. When you first start doing angel magic, you will perceive them as something outside of yourself. As years go by and you perfect these techniques, eventually there is a merging, because what's happening is whenever you're invoking angels, think about how you draw the pentagram. You start at the top and draw down. That's because you're drawing higher energy down into our consciousness. You are drawing that energy of the angels down into your consciousness over and over and over as the years go by and you practice these pentagram rituals. Whenever you are working with goetic entities, you draw the upside down pentagram and you start from the bottom and you draw it like this. Return to the bottom. Start at the bottom, return to the bottom. So it's just like the upwards, only pointing down. When you're doing that, when you start at the bottom and draw up, you are drawing energy from the bottom reaches of your psyche up into this level of consciousness. So when you invoke angels, you're pulling energy down. When you invoke goetic entities, you are pulling it up. What you're doing is gradually combining both the upper and lower consciousness and psyche with your normal everyday life to become a complete and absolute integrated person. People who don't know any better will say, well, no, that's not true. If it can't be all in your consciousness, it can't be all in your psyche. You would have to argue, to argue that point, you would have to argue against the greatest magicians in the history of the world who said it was. For example, Cornelius Agrippa, he talked about how these things are us. Crowley talked about that. He said basically the 72 angels of the Shem operation are 72 portions of the human brain. The same way with the goetic entities. These are 72 portions of our unconscious or subconscious minds. You are bringing all three. Think of it as a tree. The angels are the branches and the leaves. The goetic entities, demons, whatever you want to call them, are the roots. We are the trunk that connects the two. I mean, that's part of what the tree of life represents. So, can it be dangerous? Yes. To beginners, or even to intermediate people. I would say a lot of people that I would consider to be adepts in magic, and an adept means somebody who's really proficient at it, really good at it. I still don't think even they would be ready to work with this particular body. The name itself, Goetia, means howling, because a lot of people say that that's the psychic impression they get. They'll call it a sound, but it's not really a sound because you're not hearing it with your physical ears. You're hearing it with some sort of internal device. They say it sounds like a howling, but different people say it like this howling sound. Like for some people, they say it sounds like the wind. Other people say it sounds like something like crickets or locusts. It can also give you the impression of whispering. Like imagine the sound of 100 people all whispering at the same time, and it's really indistinct, and it's just like this big sound. That's where the word Goetia comes from. You know you're doing it effectively whenever you start to perceive that sound. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to add right now. No, I think that's about it for the time being. The angels of the Shem operation are 72 aspects of our higher consciousness. The goetic demons are 72 pieces of our unconscious mind. And what we are trying to do is marry them all together in one functioning consciousness to achieve our highest state of whatever you want to call it, self-actualization, enlightenment, complete consciousness. That's the function and purpose of these things. Okay guys, I hope you are doing well, and I will talk to you back here tomorrow. Have a good day and see you then.